In the shifting landscape of myth and legend, where the domains of gods, titans and mortals blur together in endless struggle, two names have been whispered as archetypes of raw might. Hercules, the prince of power, son of Zeus, embodiment of godly triumph, and the Hulk, the living tempest of rage, forged not in Olympus, but in the unrelenting crucible of human suffering and scientific accident. Their meeting was inevitable, for the universe thrives on conflict between absolutes, and there are no absolutes more compelling than divine strength against infinite anger. Yet before the fists could clash, the question of philosophy lingered in the air. What is strength? Is it a finite perfection achieved through mastery, or is it a limitless evolution, forever seeking new peaks as emotion and will carry it beyond boundaries? Hercules embodied perfection, an apex sculpted by Zeus himself, a god whose every feat was myth and legend, a being who wrestled giants, bore the weight of the heavens, and faced the greatest beasts of creation. His strength was divine heritage, unyielding, consistent, the kind of power mortals worshipped and gods respected. To Hercules, strength was not merely force of muscle, it was responsibility, discipline, and the eternal proof that the Olympians were superior to all who walked beneath them. He saw his might as already complete, needing no further escalation. Hulk, however, was the opposite. He was not sculpted by divine hands, but torn into being by accident, a fractured psyche made flesh, his strength erupting from the primal core of human rage. Where Hercules was a statue carved to perfection, Hulk was a storm without end. His power did not know limitation. His fists grew heavier with every strike, his body stronger with every moment of fury. To him, strength was not static. It was a living, breathing organism that expanded until nothing could contain it. He did not see strength as perfection, but as becoming, as evolution that could never be completed. When their paths converged, it was not simply a battle of sinew and bone, but a collision of philosophies, godhood and its finality versus rage and its infinity. They stood upon a battlefield carved into the heart of the world, summoned not by chance, but by the challenge of their very natures. Hercules, proud and unyielding, demanded to know why mortals revered a creature of chaos over a god of proven worth. He mocked the Hulk as nothing more than a brute, a beast enslaved to his anger, a mindless force that lacked the discipline to wield true strength. He raised his voice like thunder rolling across the mountains, declaring that strength without control is nothing but destruction, and that destruction cannot be worshipped as greatness. But Hulk answered, not in eloquent speech, but in a guttural roar that carried the weight of pain and fury accumulated through every betrayal, every rejection, every war waged against him. His words were simple but cut deeper than any godly sermon. You think strength is what you're born with. Hulk knows strength is what you survive. That single phrase struck at the core of their difference. For Hercules, strength was divine inheritance. For Hulk, strength was earned in agony, shaped by scars. Hercules was the crown of Olympus, revered for glory. Hulk was the outcast, feared for his fury, but his power was not given, it was forged. The gods had long debated this very thing. Zeus argued that perfection of form is ultimate, that the Olympians had already embodied the peak of being. Yet there were whispers even among immortals that strength without growth stagnates, and stagnation is a slow death. Hulk's existence mocked the gods' assumption of superiority. He was mortal, yet he surpassed the boundaries of mortality again and again. Where gods stayed within their limits, Hulk shattered his, becoming a creature no myth had ever accounted for. This was the heart of the philosophy. Can a god who cannot grow beyond perfection truly defeat a mortal monster who has no ceiling, no restraint, and whose power increases infinitely with every moment of fury? Hercules, in his pride, believed yes. Hulk, in his pain, believed no. The world itself trembled as these two embodiments of might locked eyes. One was the eternal statue, already perfect and immovable. The other was the living storm, forever becoming something greater. The stage was set, the philosophies clashing long before their fists would, and the truth would not be written in words, but in the scars left upon the earth when two forces of legend collided. The ground quaked as they advanced. No words left, only the storm of inevitability. Hercules moved first, his speed shocking for his size, his fist like a thunderbolt crashing into Hulk's jaw. The impact shattered mountainsides, sent shockwaves across the horizon, and drove Hulk to one knee. Hercules grinned with divine pride. the lesson taught. Strength must be disciplined, harnessed, and executed with precision. But Hulk rose, slow, unshaken, blood on his lip and fire in his eyes. He roared, sound rupture in the air, and swung back, his fist a seismic event that hurled Hercules through crumbling stone. The battle had begun. They clashed like continents colliding, every punch splitting the skies, every grapple breaking the bones of the earth. Hercules fought with skill, centuries of combat mastery guiding every strike. He ducked, weaved, and locked Hulk into holds that would have crushed lesser gods. He threw the green behemoth over mountains, smashed him into the ocean's depths, and pinned him beneath Olympus' forged stone. For every maneuver, Hercules thought the end had come. But Hulk rose again, angrier, stronger, healing faster, fists heavier with every round. Each time Hercules proclaimed dominance, Hulk's fury denied it. Hercules summoned storms, his fists calling the favor of Zeus himself, lightning crashing as he pounded Hulk into the ground. For moments it seemed Hulk could be subdued, yet the strikes only stoked the fire in Hulk's veins. The angrier he grew, the more the earth trembled. When Hercules threw him across the battlefield, Hulk landed with a force that cracked tectonic plates, and as he rose, the sky seemed to darken, as though reality itself recognized that something immeasurable was awakening. The tide began to turn. Hercules struck with perfected form, but Hulk no longer cared for form. His fists were hurricanes, his rage a bottomless ocean. A blow from Hercules broke Hulk's ribs. Yet in the next instant Hulk's strength surged so violently that he caught Hercules' arm mid-strike and twisted it back with a force even the Prince of Power could not resist. Hercules growled, struggling, but Hulk's strength was no longer measurable, it was climbing beyond godhood. For every injury, Hulk healed, and for every wound healed, his rage grew. Hercules began to realize the truth of their philosophies in the clash itself. His power, though immense, was reaching its peak. Hulk's, however, was not. Hercules fought valiantly, calling upon every skill, every ounce of divine strength, wrestling Hulk in moves that pinned giants and titans, but Hulk tore through them with sheer escalation. His roar was no longer of a beast but of a god in ascension, declaring that no perfection could outlast evolution. Finally, with a strike that seemed to carry the fury of worlds, Hulk's fist met Hercules' chest and drove him into the ground so deeply the earth cratered around them. Hercules tried to rise, his body divine, unyielding, but Hulk's next blow landed before he could, and then another and another, each one heavier than the last. The air itself warped with the violence, the ground shattered into oceans of dust. Hercules swung back, still proud, but his fists met a strength that had already surpassed him. Hulk caught his blow, roared into his face, and smashed him with a force that silenced even the heavens. The dust settled slowly. Hercules lay beaten, not broken in spirit, but humbled, his body no longer able to rise against the ever-growing storm. Hulk stood over him, chest heaving, fists dripping with blood and fury, his body radiating with power that still had not reached its end. In that silence, the truth became undeniable. Strength that is perfect is doomed to fall against strength that never stops becoming. Hercules had proven the mastery of a god, but Hulk had proven the infinity of a monster forged from pain. The earth remembered the clash, the scars eternal. Hercules would heal, would rise again, but the lesson was written in blood and stone. Hulk was not just stronger in the moment, he was destined to be stronger forever. The storm had triumphed over the statue, and the debate was answered not in words but in fists. Hulk was the winner.